Well, welcome back to the Canadian Virtual Recruiters Conference. My name is Marc. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. We'll be starting just in a couple of minutes or so, just letting people wrap up. I know there's another session that's just still finishing up. So we are just going to give that another 30 seconds or so, and then we'll be starting momentarily. Thanks very much for being on here. Hopefully you've had a chance to hear some of the speakers and been networking with other people through our networking area and, of course, our expo area. We do actually tack on an extra 10 minutes at the end of this so that you can go into the expo area or do some last minute networking and so on through our networking platform. Feel free to introduce yourself as well through the event or in the stage chat. And I'm happy also to moderate any questions that you might have as well. So feel free to put them anywhere in the area, and I'm happy to moderate them as we go through the panel. So met a few of you through the networking area. Pretty good to connect with you there, and we'll be connecting with those people through LinkedIn as well. So don't hesitate to introduce yourself. Don't be shy. Still half an hour to go in this session. So welcome back to the Canadian Virtual Recruiters Conference. My name is Marc. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. TorontoJobs.ca is proud to present today's event. And I am going to introduce our panelists one by one and have them introduce themselves and talk a little bit about what they do and their background and perhaps maybe some challenges as well. So we'll start with Miriam Simmonds, as Director of People and Culture at Gogii Games. Welcome, Miriam.
Thank you, Marc.
Coming all the way from Halifax, Nova Scotia today.
Yes, I am.
Thanks very much for being on. So Miriam, perhaps you can introduce yourself to the other panelists as well as people watching, just a little bit about what you do and a little bit about your background and the kinds of issues perhaps and challenges that you face right now as a recruiter.
Yes, absolutely. I think similar to a lot of people who have ended up in recruitment, I didn't really, know too much about it. I stumbled upon it. I have always been a people person. And after completing my degree in sociology and social anthropology and an advanced diploma in HR, I ended up working at an executive search firm in career transition. And I really enjoyed my time there. And after moving on from there, I actually ended up moving to Toronto. And I started my career in recruitment there, right on Bay Street, Bay in Adelaide. And, I've had the opportunity to work for international recruitment agencies as well as boutique consulting firms as well. And I transitioned into internal human resources around, a few years after working in an agency. And I really enjoyed the experience that I had on the agency side. And I was able to apply everything that I learned there and combine it with my education and start being more of a talent partner. And I've had the opportunity to work for a number of software companies in the GTA. And as you mentioned, I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia right now. I'm currently the Director of People and Culture at Gogii Games. And we are a video development software company, so a game dev company. And, I think one of the challenges that we've had to deal with during the pandemic, of course, was transitioning and becoming a remote workplace was something that we dealt with and actually have really enjoyed. The process of really working collaboratively with our two offices. We have an office in New Brunswick and an office in Halifax. It really gave us the opportunity to act as one instead of acting as two offices. And, I think in terms of challenges, probably similar to a lot of other companies right now, just helping our team members stay well and healthy, whether it's like mentally and physically. Working remotely is a lot more isolating. I think a lot of folks are accustomed to working in an office, especially in an open concept environment where you're solving problems face to face with your colleagues. So having to change that and start to really solve the problems over technology, through our computers without really seeing each other has been probably one of the biggest challenges. So staying connected has been a big focus for our team. And, that's one of my responsibilities here, just helping our team stay engaged, helping our team members stay healthy. And if it involves people, then I am in charge of it. So there's a lot of different things that I get to see on a day-to-day basis here.
And what kind of positions does your team recruit for, or are you involved with as your company hiring for?
Yeah, absolutely. So we normally hire video game developers and QA as well as art roles. So those are the primary roles we focus on. We do have operations roles as well, but the majority are related to the development.
Terrific. Well, thanks very much for being on here, Miriam. And Tessa Sebro is Senior Specialist Talent Acquisition, Mackenzie Investments. Thanks very much, Tessa. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. Thanks, Marc.
No problem. So perhaps you can also give people an idea as to what you do and your business and the challenges perhaps that you have on the recruiting front.
All right. So I am a senior specialist for talent acquisition, as Marc mentioned, and I am new to Mackenzie Investments, which is part of IGM Financial. But I am not by any means new to talent acquisition or to HR. I've been in this space for over 15 years. I've worked in private sector organizations as well as public sector organizations. And in my current role, I'm working with investment groups and product groups as well as marketing. So roles that fall within those groups would be aligned with my portfolio. Some of the challenges that we've seen across the talent acquisition space have been pertaining to sort of socializing to new cultures. When you've begun with the organization remotely, I think individuals who've been with an organization for a significant period of time and already have a good foundation of the organization, a good grasp of the people and who the key players are, going remote is a little bit different than somebody starting remote in a new organization and then having to get used to what those different pieces look like and putting everything together. That said, I have worked in organizations where I've been on the side that onboarded new individuals remotely. And so I know it could be done. And this was my opportunity to sort of do it myself. And so I'm happy to be here to be able to chat with you today and to talk about recruitment, talent acquisition, and answer any questions that you might have.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Tessa. And Maria Fernandez is Manager Talent and Culture at Architech. Thanks very much, Maria. So what's going on in your world?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. So just a little bit about myself. I've spent now, I guess, this 24 years in the, I guess, traditional HR space, now people and culture. It's always evolving, which is great. I worked probably the first 17 years of my career at a large manufacturer, I guess, technology firm called Celestica. And then from there, I have been in several industries. I've worked in healthcare, I've worked in insurance, I've worked in research and marketing. I've worked in consultancy, and I've been in tech a few times. So back into tech, always exciting, always interesting. I lead a few team members within talent and then within the HR space. And our job is to really just ensure that our people in the organization are supported and really what their employee life cycle across the board is good, and they have a great experience with us. So we kind of tackle a variety of things across the board. It's been fantastic. We've got lots of growth opportunities. We've been growing really rapidly. So with that, it's exciting, but also challenging, especially in the kind of space that we're working in. So what we do is we're essentially cloud native specialists, and we help our customers evolve digitally. So a lot of our roles around developers and full stack developers and really specialists around the cloud. And, it's been very competitive. So there's a lot of technology companies and it's been growing here in Canada really rapidly, which is exciting for Canada, also very challenging for anyone in this space. And it seems to be skills that are wanted and needed across various industries. So that's sort of what's been keeping us busy. And then just in terms of our people, is really about thinking about how we support our people working from home and how they deal with just a very different way of working and health and mental wellness. And we're really focused on that, making sure that we're doing everything we can and always thinking forward in terms of what are the kind of things that we need to do to support our people. So it's it's been interesting.
For sure. Thanks, Maria. You are here at the Canadian Virtual Recruiters Conference. My name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. The panelists, Miriam Simmonds is Director of People and Culture at Gogii Games. Tessa Sebro is Senior Specialist, Talent Acquisition at Mackenzie Investments. And Maria Fernandez is Manager, Talent and Culture at Architech. So I think both Miriam and Maria mentioned about tech, and Canada has become really a tech country and trying to recruit for staff. And it seems like wages seem to be going up for tech. It's very competitive. What are your visions as to how this is going to play out from a recruiting perspective? Just more courses, more university courses and college courses will start getting more people into that area, or are we going to get people from other countries? What are your thoughts? Maybe we can start with Miriam.
Yeah, for sure. I think for a number of years, tech has been a very competitive space. And I mean, if we're being really honest, a lot of the different industries are quite competitive right now, and it's really a candidate's market. And, I think like the things that you've mentioned, definitely reaching outside of your area, whether it's internationally, just creating a culture where people really want to join your team. And I think, a strategy that has worked in our current organization and in previous roles that I've held is knowing that there may always be another company that will probably be able to pay your, people more than what they're currently earning in your current organization, but also knowing that, people join companies for more than just money. People want work-life balance. People want to solve certain problems. People want to work with certain technology. And, I think the seller in any company and organization that I've worked in is absolutely the people. And, I think at the end of the day, as long as your compensation strategy is fair, you are still going to be able to get great people to join your team. You are not always going to win. I've lost some great candidates and, but at the end of the day, the candidates that, I've lost are not that many, or the candidates that teams have not been able to bring on are not that many, because when you're working for a really great company, a candidate who's potentially looking to join your team can see that it's not just about the compensation. It's opportunities to learn, opportunities to grow, opportunities to work with fantastic people. And you spend so much time at work that at the end of the day, you could be making, twice the amount of money in a different company being unhappy, or make a fair and competitive salary at a company with really great people. So I think that is absolutely the competitive edge, and, giving people the chance to work and solve problems with great people will always beat, most times it will beat out competing offers from other company. That's what I've experienced anyway.
Right. Well said. Maria, any other insight on tech recruiting?
Yeah, no, I agree with Miriam. She's definitely got lots of valid points. I think it's going to be like this definitely for a few years. We're going to be in an interesting run here for a few years. And I think it's opened opportunities where companies have now been able to hire remotely, where, you can now go across Canada and talent has an opportunity to work, across different provinces, and it's very exciting. But I agree with that. I think you're never going to be the best. There's companies that'll have stronger things, and it really is about doing the best you can within your organization and continuing to evolve your programs, and how you give people great opportunities and give them a really good experience. And I think for us, I guess we've had several people come back to us as well. So it kind of just speaks to it's that whole thing, right? You could go somewhere else, but it may not be the best experience. You may be stressed out. You may have, you may not be happy. And I think ultimately, if anything, we've been taught, the last 2 years that happiness is key. And so you kind of have to think about all those things. So I agree. For myself, the focus and our team is really about making it a great experience and giving great opportunities for people and giving them great career opportunities and learning opportunities and working with really fantastic people. So it's really down to the culture and how we build our programs within talent and culture.
Mm. It seemed like when the pandemic hit, that money wasn't as big a factor in a way, wasn't it? Because people are working from home and they want that, whether it's work life or being able to work from home or whatever. And it
Right.
became less and less important, as did, finding a place closer to home, which was a big hook before the pandemic. So interesting observation. So Tessa, over to you. And now I'm going to flip it to the other side, and that is what they're calling the Great Resignation. I don't know if you
Yes, I heard about the Great Resignation.
The Great Resignation. So this
Yes.
is a newer thing that has been written really in the last maybe month or 2 months, especially, that I've been seeing more and more written about this. Microsoft survey, 30,000 global workers were surveyed. 41% said they were considering quitting or changing professions this year. Another survey said 38% of those surveyed plan to quit in the next 6 months to a year. So what do you like? Do you see it coming? Like, is it something that you think is just waiting to happen, or do you think
I do see it, and I don't think I do see it, and I don't think we're waiting for it. I think it's happening. I think a lot of people, to Miriam and Maria's points, are looking for flexibility and inclusion. So what workplaces are adapting to the changes that are going on in the space, what individuals are being provided the opportunities that they need to in order to be able to balance their home life and their work life, while still being considered for and recognized for opportunities to continue developing and advancing themselves. I mean, it wasn't so long ago that the people you could see, the people who were visible in the office, were the people who were always the people considered for promotions and considered the hard workers and, the ones we can rely on. Well, now with everybody sort of working remotely, or with a large number of people working remotely, it has sort of leveled the playing field for people with disabilities, for working mothers, for a number of different scenarios that previously there would be a lot of unconscious bias playing into decisions that were made that allowed people to advance their careers and to move. So I think the Great Resignation has had people thinking about where they're working, where they'd like to be working, what sorts of things are important to them, where are they going to be able to achieve that best balance, even if they're maybe taking a pay cut to find that, or it's more a holistic way of looking at work, as opposed to your life being a little piece of what you tack on at the end of each work day. And I think that's where a lot of the Great Resignation flow is coming from. I think some organizations are adapting really well and have adjusted really well to the necessary changes that the pandemic brought about. And then other organizations are sort of in a space where they can't wait to get back to how it was. And I think the people that are leaving and moving on to other organizations are sort of individuals who are not looking for things to go back exactly the way they were, but are looking to see how they can progress and maintain more of the balance that they were able to find during this period of time. Long-winded answer, but
yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It's interesting hearing the different perspectives. Over the last year and a half, we've gone through so many different changes, right? Like right after the pandemic, it was like, well, and I'm lucky to have a job, and then during the COVID, it was like, well, I'm working and I'm not really looking for anything else, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's like, maybe because the vaccines are getting rolled out, maybe the world's getting back, maybe now it's like, okay, I'm leaving. And it's like, what happened to the loyalty to the employer, right? But I mean, it goes both ways, of course, right? But Maria or Miriam, like, what are your observations, thoughts on the Great Resignation? Real, not real yet, coming? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I can go ahead, Miriam, if you I think it has started for sure. So it has started. There are a lot of really interesting companies coming to Canada, right? It's a lot of big names. They look fantastic on a resume for sure, right? They look great. Will the experience be the same? Well, I don't know. That's always to be tested. And like I said, we've been interestingly enough, we've had people come back after a couple months and then actually after a couple years. So it's one of those, right? So yeah, I mean, I think we've already seen it, and to be expected, and it makes sense, right? I think the key piece here is about, we think about what flexibility can we give our employees, and if there are employees that want to make a move because it'll be better for their families, or want to now change, where they live, that's the flexibility that we're talking about. So we are open to that, and we're open to like really building the employee experience individually around the employee, which I think is an amazing change. It's the first time I've ever seen it in my career, and I've been doing this for a while, and I think it's the right thing to do, and I think it's fantastic. So that's how we're looking at it. It's not just about, one size fits all. It really is about the individual. So it is to be expected, and we're prepared for it. But I think ultimately our focus is just being better than what we are today and continuing to evolve and progress. And that's the best that we can do.
That's good. Great points.
Yeah,
So
I agree. Oh,
Yeah,
I was actually just going to add that I think you, Tessa and Maria have both nailed it. And I just want to add that I think the uncertainty that came from COVID and job insecurity, I think we're seeing a lot more entrepreneurs and a lot more people doing consulting work. And one thing that I think has really changed is the mind frame. You can still have full-time employment and have a side hustle. So in the, maybe pre-COVID days or even a few years ago, employers didn't really want people who had anything on the side going on because they felt like, well, they're not going to be as committed to our organization or to the work that they're doing. But that is a major shift that I have seen. We want people who are doing things on the side because it adds to the skill set. It shows the passion that people have about the work that they're doing. And anytime that you're adding to your skill set, it's a bonus. We want people who are really happy. And if you have something outside of work that brings you joy, brings you more income, like, why not? So I think, that's another change that I think we've seen because of the great resignations.
So where's the line, Miriam, between, working on their side hustle or whatever, part-time gig or whatever it is, during work hours, and not during work hours, and where's that line crossed, and how does an employer deal with that?
I think it comes down to the people that you hire. I think it's really important to have strong values, and anytime that we're hiring, we hire to that value set, knowing that, people who do have passion projects on the side know that the mandate is for them to do their job first. And we have that trust in them that they're going to do their job first, and that they can use other time to work on any other projects that they have, whether it's their lunchtime or, maybe after work or in the morning before you start working. I think that having autonomy to do a little bit more and let people be a little bit more free and let people be adults that they are has really made a big difference, because it's pretty clear when people are not doing their work. So, if anybody is underperforming for any reason, have the conversation with them. But at the end of the day, people really have enjoyed having that autonomy to be able to say, I have my full-time job and I love doing that. And I'm also able to work on my passion projects because I work for an employer that trusts me to do my work in the day and do my passion projects or side hustle on the side.
Mm-hmm. Good points. We only have a few minutes left. So I wanted to maybe just open a question to anybody, but kind of what are your thoughts about diversity, equity, and inclusion? What's the latest? What's the trend? What's happening now? Where do you see things going on that? So open to anybody on the panel.
I think that a lot of companies have started to, because of the events that have happened over the last few years, have started to put a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion more than they ever have before. I did mention a couple of things previously when I was talking about the way of working right now being more inclusive for some folks. I think that there are office environments where inclusion might not have been felt to the degree that people would have liked to have seen pre-pandemic. and being able to work in one's own space has sort of put a bit of a barrier or provided a bit of a refuge for individuals who might have been in unfriendly or less than inclusive work environments and sort of just tolerating it because they didn't feel like they had any option. And I think that with organizations building their diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies and planning for return to work, whether it's hybrid or on a full-time basis, I think people will be going back to situations that are hopefully better than situations that they might have left from a diversity, equity, and inclusion perspective. I think DEI is something that everybody has a responsibility for because it affects everyone, whether or not everyone realizes it. Whether or not your employees feel included, whether or not they feel like they can participate at their best, it's going to affect your bottom line, like it or not. And so I think even if you don't directly encounter situations where you can say, oh, I see that as a bias and I'm going to try to do something about it. Even if you don't directly see it, indirectly, it'll be felt in one way or another, either by the way people engage with each other or by absences in the workplace or by somebody being on sick leave or whatever the case may be. And so with DEI being at the forefront of what a lot of organizations are doing and what a lot of them are working on, I think it's going to make for better workspaces overall, better environments, more productive people. I think it's really important, but you know that, Marc.
Yeah.
I'll leave it to someone else if anybody else wants to comment on the DEI space.
Yeah. Awesome. Miriam or Maria, any added points? Just another minute or two left.
I fully agree with Tessa. I fully agree. And I think there has to be a focus and there has to be like actual, work and action plans and actual work done around this, right? Not just the talk, but let's see what's actually being done. Like, what are we actually doing? And I think it's incredibly important. I think it's been a missed opportunity for many years. And definitely something that's integral to our organization. So yeah, I agree with everything Tessa said. She did a great job.
Excellent. Okay, terrific. Any last minute additional comments here? Something that perhaps we touched on earlier that you want to add, that you want to make a comment specifically on the recruiting side?
I think I'll just add that having data and metrics and revisiting them, I think, is really important. Anytime that you're implementing a new program, anytime that you want to see how something is working, especially when we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion as well. If we're not challenging ourselves to look at our teams and say, how diverse are our teams? It won't get better, because you can talk and say we need more diversity, but if we're not adding a diverse candidate to the open role that you're hiring for, it will never happen. If every time you get to final interviews and it's 2 white men, the diversity is not going to increase. But if we're challenging ourselves, saying the only way we're going to change our representation numbers is to make sure that at the interview stage, we have a representation of candidates, whether it's females, whether it's visible minorities, whether it's people who identify as part of a group. Making sure that you're holding your teams and yourself accountable is the only way that we're going to be able to make change happen.
Great. Great way to wrap it up. Thanks very much, Miriam. Thanks to everybody for coming to the Canadian Virtual Recruiters Conference. Today's event presented by TorontoJobs.ca, sponsored by Payroll Funding and powered by EventLogic with a K.ca. My name is Marc Belaiche, president of TorontoJobs.ca. Our panelists, Miriam Simmonds, director of people and culture at Gogii Games. Tessa Sebro is senior specialist talent acquisition, Mackenzie Investments, and Maria Fernandez, manager talent and culture at Architech. I want to thank the three of you for being on here. I want to just mention a few more things, if you can just bear with me for a sec. TorontoJobs.ca, we're happy to help out with any staffing needs that you might have. Feel free to email sales@TorontoJobs.ca. Payroll Funding Canada allows you and your staffing company to focus on what you do best and grow your business. And EventLogic with a K.ca, if there's an event that you'd like to have done, perhaps a job fair or otherwise, please visit the website. For example, virtual job fair. And Gohuza.com. It's a new recruitment platform that's coming soon in the next few weeks. And just wanted to mention also about some upcoming events. You can visit TorontoJobs.ca/news, NEWS, for information about our upcoming events. We also have the Canadian Virtual Immigrants Conference happening this Thursday, August 5th. Wednesday, August 11th is the Canadian Virtual Tech Hiring Event. And Wednesday, August 18th is the Canadian Virtual Bilingual Career Fair. So if you're looking to interview or hire in those sectors, feel free to visit eventlogicwithak.ca for more information about that. And also check out all our Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram on TorontoJobs.ca. You can subscribe to not only our TorontoJobs.ca YouTube channel, but also the Toronto Recruiters YouTube channel. There are hundreds of videos on there on searching, job search, interviewing issues, recruitment issues, and so on. And also check out the Recruiters Unite in Toronto LinkedIn group. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if there's anything I can help you with. How did you like the event? Let us know. We'll send you a survey in the next 24 hours. Feel free to complete it. Let us know what you liked or didn't like. And also, I want to thank the team and all the speakers that have been on today's event. And the team includes Alex, Rachel, Sandra, Sarah, Carla, Ann, and many more. So I just wanted to thank everybody for doing everything they're doing. By the way, we're also looking at TorontoJobs.ca to hire for our recruiting team, including recruiting assistant and a recruiter with staffing agency experience. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out to me. As I mentioned earlier, we do tack on an extra 10 minutes that you can have some time to network through our speed networking area, visit our expo and more. And again, thank you to the panelists, and thank you for everyone attending, and have a great day and stay safe. And panel, just stay on with me just for a second more. Thanks very much.